That is it. So here we go. We are going to learn with Dr. Terry Wahls. This is so crucial for any of you who have been told that you have an autoimmune condition. Do you have an autoimmune condition? Well, listen up, take notes, because we have our greatest expert ever, someone who's lived an autoimmune condition and continues to learn how to share this information with others. And we're going to be giving away 2 of these books called the Wahls Protocol. So you need to start in the comment below section. Start saying that you want a copy of this book, tag it, share it with your friends so that we can start growing together. So fasten your seatbelt because we're going to learn and grow together. It's time to dance, Dr. Wahls. Here we go.
The Lillian McDermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be right here. Right here, and when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for you.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening and my viewing friends at facebook.com/Lillian's radio show. I am so grateful that we could be connected here on this beautiful best day ever. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, because you know Dr. Wahls is in the classroom, she's our teacher in the classroom today, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening friends, my viewing friends, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, I say embrace a new truth because we have been indoctrinated from the moment we're in the womb. We learn what is our role in life. What are the other people's roles in life? And we need to fit that mold. And if we don't fit that mold, you face whatever comes your way, criticism, disease, whatever it is that you're facing today, and you want to break out of that mold. Maybe you don't believe what you've been told. So with that in mind, if you've been told that you had an autoimmune condition and you will always have an autoimmune condition, or you have something that's incurable, get out of that mold. Stop thinking that somebody else has that power over you. You might be able to change it. You could change it. What if you could change it? So today we have Dr. Terry Wahls, who is medically trained and was told that she had a condition, but she didn't accept that that condition was going to end her life. Actually, it changed her life. It made her life better because she is now a better person from experiencing this as a medical doctor. And now she can help others. So they don't have, she's gone through it so that you don't have to. You don't feel alone. And so she's just released a revision of her book that came out in 2014. And now it has so much more in there. We're going to be talking about why this book has come many years after. And so with you, if you want a copy of this book, make sure you start saying, I want a copy of this book. 2 of them will be your names will be put into a winner's basket, and your name will be selected. The 2 that will be selected will be notified. And so, since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful and honored that Dr. Terry Wahls is back to do just that. Welcome, Dr. Wahls, to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show classroom.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Well, I am grateful that you're here. I'm grateful that we get the opportunity to talk about your latest revision of this
Yeah.
book that's like a Bible for many. So let's talk about why now. Why did you decide to do this now?
Well, a lot of science has changed. I wrote the original book in 2013. It got published in 2014. And in those 7 years, so many things have changed. Science has advanced. My thinking has advanced. And because this book is basically a reference book, a Bible for so many people,
Mhm.
I need to keep it current. So I took the time to go back, update research, and then update my recommendations in the book that match what I'm doing clinically.
You know, and I want to acknowledge you here because, well, first of all, I want all of you to know Dr. Wahls has been in the classroom before. Normally, I have people tell their credentials, and just know that we verify everybody's credentials. And she's been in the classroom before sharing her credentials, so you can go check out some of the other classes that she has taught as well. But, most doctors, Dr. Wahls, say, okay, I wrote this book, nothing's changed. Everything's the same. Nothing's going to be different. But I want to acknowledge that you've said, okay, I went back and I read my book, and in 7 years, things do have changed. If you know
Yeah.
better, you do better. So let's talk about those changes. What should people expect about this book than the one that you published in 2014?
We'll sort of take it sequentially. The first thing that I see in my clinical practice is that, and when I'm teaching these concepts to other physicians, is that the big challenge is helping people adopt and sustain a therapeutic diet and lifestyle. Because we are addicted to the standard American diet, we're addicted to salt, sugar, fat, and the food industry is very adept at creating products that increase cravings, increase food addictions, and lead to withdrawal symptoms if you're not consuming them.
Yes.
So I spend a lot more time talking about the science of behavior change and strategies that we can use to grow our internal motivation so that we're willing to do the work and get through the addiction, through the withdrawal, as we transform our diet and lifestyle. So that's a really terrific chapter. And for my clinicians, we now have a training program to teach clinicians how to use the behavior change model that we've created. And then in terms of the diet, I talk now about histamines, I talk about oxalates, we discuss FODMAPs in more detail. I've created a elimination diet and made that much more clear how to use that for people who have an autoimmune disease involving their joints, or if they have not had as much of a response that we're hoping for, then we move them to the Wahls elimination diet. We have a lot more information on ketosis, metabolic resilience, why ketogenic eating may be helpful, but why continuous ketosis may be harmful. And so that I use ketosis in a cyclic fashion. And depending on the person, I might do this in a daily basis with time-restricted eating, or I might do periodic fast, or I may do seasonal ketosis and ketosis over the winter, and then take them out of it during the summer. It's actually the very rare patient that I leave in ketosis indefinitely. There are some for whom it's really quite appropriate.
Interesting.
But the majority of patients, I prefer that they do their ketosis intermittently. And so I go over the science as to why that intermittent ketosis actually, in general, yields superior results.
Mm. Well, you have been such a warrior for autoimmune disease.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
almost like it was, although it's, and I have to say this very carefully because some people might get offended when I say this. Although it was a very dark time in your life,
Mm-hmm.
it created so much brightness in other people's lives.
Yeah, it was a profound experience because I have trigeminal neuralgia, and that was the first symptom that started during medical school. These episodes of electrical face pain across either the right side of my face or the left side. And that, slowly, very persistently got worse. It was more intense, more frequent, more difficult to turn off. And I had that over 27 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I was diagnosed 20 years after my first bout of face pain with weakness in the left leg, diagnosed with MS, and that also very rapid decline in a wheelchair within 3 years, 4 years in a tilt recline wheelchair, eventually unable to sit up, beginning to have trouble with brain fog, beginning to have, I was deeply concerned that my trigeminal neuralgia was going to be stuck permanently on. And, as everyone knows, I created this diet and lifestyle program that, to my amazement, within 3 months, stopped my pain, stopped the brain fog, restored my energy. I started getting stronger. My physical therapist said, Terry, you're clearly stronger. Let's have you start lifting weights. So I started lifting weights. And then I decided I wanted to bike. And of course, I managed to get on my bike after 6 years. And so that's a big emotional day. My 2 children are crying. My wife's crying. I'm crying. And then 6 months later, my wife, Jackie, sees that there's a community ride, the Courage Ride, 18.5 miles.
Wow.
We sign up. And once again, my kids are crying, my wife's crying, I'm crying. And I finished that 18.5 mile bike ride.
Mm-hmm.
So this really transforms how I'm thinking about disease and health. It transforms the way I practice medicine, because now I'm talking to my patients about what they're eating, what they're doing, and I'm getting them fired up about these radical things known as vegetables. And we see these stunning results. And, and what I realized is, as I became more comfortable and more adept with talking about the creation of health through diet and lifestyle, I became far more successful with getting my patients to make these really big changes in how they conducted their daily lives.
It's amazing. It's amazing that something so, and I always say that anytime we're going through darkness, and that something beautiful is going to happen, and just to hold on, you can get through the darkness knowing that there is hope on the other side, that there's something purposeful and meaningful on the other side. It's like, okay, I'm going through this now. Why is this happening to me?
What can I learn?
Start of, yes, exactly. It's the start of ungratefulness, is why is this happening to me? But when you say, what can I learn? That's the beginning of gratitude, and that shift of mindset that I'm sure can cause, if you don't shift that mindset, can make things progress faster and make us feel that we've been abandoned. And so
Right. Life will always have its ups and downs. There will always be challenges. And we have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
We can learn from those challenges. We can learn from that experience. And so we can either become bitter or we can become better.
Correct.
And so fortunately, I've been focused on, okay, what can I learn? How can I use these experiences, these circumstances? How would they better serve me? For example, when I was getting more and more disabled, I have 2 very young children.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, ages 8 and 5, and I'm in the wheelchair. By the time, my son's 11, this is very difficult, because I had assumed I was going to be using athletic adventures, wilderness travel, sports to teach my kids resilience. But of course, that was not what I was going to get to do. But I eventually realized, well, I can still teach them resilience, because I can model that, life's not fair, but you get up and you do your best every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I could continue doing my workouts, because I was very determined I was not giving that up.
Mm-hmm.
And so they saw that my workouts were getting smaller and smaller and smaller, but I still never missed a day.
Wow.
And that, I went to work, and, my kids had to do more chores than most of their peers. And, both my kids at various times complained bitterly about their chores, and, complained bitterly that None of their friends knew anything about laundry machines or drying machines or folding clothes. And this was so terribly unfair. And I'm, very empathetic. Oh, yeah. That is really unfair. But, these are your chores. And it's really unfair that I have MS and that life is difficult, but I do. And so you just have to carry on and do the best that you can. And, my kids would stamp their feet and say, Mom, I think you're glad you have MS, so you can lecture me about the chores.
You just don't want to do your chores. That's why you have MS, right?
Yeah, and so they're both horrified that I tell that story now, and we laugh. So, that's age appropriate. That's what kids do.
Yeah.
And now the other thing that's really interesting is, my children have heard me many times talk about the gift of having MS and the gift of having trigeminal neuralgia. And of course, and they were very difficult. They said, no, this is no gift. This was no gift. But now my kids are quite a bit older, 28 and 25. And I hear them talking about how much they learned.
Absolutely.
And so, yes, even the most difficult circumstances, there are things you can learn.
Wonderful. And the beauty of this is you wrote the book. It's been a great book for so many, but now you've gone back and you said, okay, things have changed. I've learned much more. I'm not done learning. And even though, and that's the problem, that many doctors have, learned a certain way and how to prescribe medications and how to manage pain and how to manage with medication. And you've gone beyond that and you say, no, this is not going to work here. So what are some of the myths that you can, with people that are told that they have an incurable disease or an autoimmune condition, what are some of these myths that we can dispel right now?
So people may think that, okay, I have this because of the genetics. Because there's lots of research where identified, I believe, between 200 and 300 genes that will increase your risk of getting MS. And it's about 200 to 300 genes for any of the serious systemic autoimmune conditions. However, each gene will increase the risk, in a very small way, maybe 0.5%, 1%, maybe 2%. There's only a handful that increase it substantially. But even for all of the genes, even these ones that are more serious, the vast majority of people with that gene do not get the diagnosis.
Okay.
So it's this complicated interaction between the genes that you got from mom and dad and your lifetime of exercise, food choices, toxin exposures, antibiotic use that will turn your genes on and off, that will change your phenotype. And the phenotype is the expression of your body, of how your body appears and how you are running the chemistry of life. So I can't change the genes I got from mom and dad, but I can certainly change which genes are on the on and which genes are in the off position. And I do that by changing what I eat, changing my daily activities, changing my stress level, improving my sleep, improving exercise, and feeding the health-promoting microbiome, the health-promoting bacteria, and starving out the disease-promoting ones. So there's a lot under your control.
Any other myths that we can, because what people don't understand is even with the BRCA gene, 50% of women who have the BRCA gene don't get cancer.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so nobody talks about the 50% that don't get cancer. They only focus on the people that are taking off their body parts and
furthermore, we do know that, again, for the BRCA gene, if you address diet, if you go on a lower carb diet, and that's one of the people that, I would be very open to a long-term ketogenic diet for that particular individual. And then I would also be stressing meditative practice, daily exercise, plenty of sleep, so absolutely, we don't spend nearly enough time talking about the critical need to, instead of focusing on treating disease, to focus on creating health.
Yeah.
What are all the environmental factors that we can do that support health, that support your cell's ability to do the chemistry of life properly?
Yeah. I have so many DNA companies that have reached out to me. They want to do these DNA shows, and I've only accepted, I think, one or two. And the reason why is they agree to look at DNA as prevention. Like if I know
Yes.
I have the gene of something, then I can use that to my advantage because I know I can turn it off. So let's
Correct.
figure out how to turn it off, and which is what you're teaching in your
Yes.
in this book. And by the way, if you want a copy of this book, you need to go for it. So below in
Oh,
the comments section, you need to write "I want the book." If you are watching on YouTube or listening on a podcast, go onto my Facebook page, write or send me a text at 407-373-5959, and your name will be entered into the winner's basket, and 2 names will be selected. So everybody has a chance to win. So so go ahead and get started on this one. Okay, so in your book, I love how you say your hero's journey. And I've
yes.
always said that we are healers, that, you know, you can have a doctor who can coach you into health. I also say that if your doctor doesn't look healthy, like you want to be healthy, then fire your
Right.
doctor, because if they can't take care of themselves, how are they going to take care of you? So I love the
Yeah.
hero's journey. So let's talk about, as we enter into looking at some of the things in your book, let's talk about why the hero's journey.
So, as I said earlier, we are addicted and wired to want to have salt, sugar, fat, particularly sugar. It's much more addictive than cocaine or alcohol. So it's incredibly hard for us to give that up. And it's hard to give up gluten and dairy, again, because we're addicted to those compounds. And when you go off them, you're going to have some withdrawal symptoms. There'll be some craving. So we're asking people to experience discomfort. And it's biologically incredibly hard for us to experience discomfort today, give up pleasure for a potential theoretic future benefit. Therefore, we love to have this conversation, asking patients, is there something or someone that you care so deeply about that if they were asleep in a burning building, you would run in to go get them
Mm-hmm.
or to go get it? And for the vast majority, there is someone, the children, the grandchildren, the spouse, the brother, the sister, there is someone that they care that much about. Okay, now I link the next actionable step, improving their diet, working on their lifestyle, so that they could better serve that person that they love so much.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about, if we look at the great myths, the great stories, the wonderful movies, that we know that someone has taken on a task where success was not guaranteed. In fact, there was a high risk of failure. There's a risk of personal injury or harm,
Mm-hmm.
but this person persevered anyway because they cared so much about that cause, about that person. And so then we asked, okay, what's the risk of failure here? And what's the cause that you are working for? Now the struggle with, I'm going to give up sugar. I'm not going to have gluten. I'm not going to have dairy. It is hard. I am going to miss it. I am going to suffer. But I want to dance at my son's wedding.
Mm-hmm.
I want to dance with my daughter at her wedding.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see my grandchild enter kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
Something that resonates with the person. And we acknowledge that, yes, I'm asking you to do something that's hard. Yes, you might fail. Yes, this is going to be a hero's journey for you to succeed. And you're going to have immense pride at your accomplishment. If I can get people fired up for that story, and if they can tell themselves that story, it greatly improves their commitment. Now, the other thing that I really work at is I use the functional medicine approach when I'm interviewing the patients to understand what were all the environmental factors that contributed to their illness. We tell the story back to them so the person understands the why they become ill, the mechanisms, using metaphors that are relatable to their profession and their background and their ethnic culture, in terms of why food, diet, exercise, sleep matter so much.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the hero's journey. And now people are vastly more successful. If I just say, you got to eat vegetables, meditate, and move, I haven't given them the tools to succeed.
What do you say to someone, Dr. Wahls, that believes that they have no options, that they've been told that, the best doctors have told them that they have MS, they'll die of MS, and just take this pill, and
sure.
and then they get upset with you if they hear you say, this could change if a lifestyle change could occur, and then they get upset with the messenger. And because
we have a couple of questions here.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is the person comes to me already on prescription medications, disease-modifying drugs. And my response there is, we leave you on your drugs because if you stop disease-modifying drugs abruptly, expect a rebound,
sure,
a severe worsening. So we always keep people on their current meds, and frankly, whatever their current meds are. High blood pressure meds, mood meds, blood sugar meds, disease-modifying therapies. We leave you on that. And we work to improve diet and lifestyle. And we talk about diet, we talk about meditation, we talk about movement. And sometimes people say, that's too hard. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Come back when you're ready. I understand that this is not for you the time where you're ready to take this stuff on. I'm not really at all interested in arguing with people. We offer inspiration. We tell of my remarkable recovery. We tell of some of our other patients who've had remarkable life-transforming experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that not everyone is willing to make these changes.
Mm-hmm.
It may be that I can't face this because we have a severe financial strain. I'm dealing with my husband who has terminal cancer, so I just can't take anything on right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so our response is, that's fine. Come back when you are ready, and then we will help you.
Yeah, it's that anger. It's that anger because I remember, and I don't know if I shared this with you, Dr. Wahls, when I first started the show on radio, I was all about allopathic medicine and what the next pill is going to do to help heal our body. But along the way, it was about a year into it, I was challenged to go raw vegan for a month, just raw vegan for a month.
Yeah.
And after 4 days, I started feeling so good. But the thing was, I didn't feel bad. I just didn't know I could feel better. And so I would remember in the past, and now going back, if somebody would have told me for my son that ADD medication was not just the answer for him, modifying his diet, modifying behavior, whatever it was, I would get angry because it's like, how can they lie to me? It's the lie that was. So when I experienced health with food, I didn't feel angry. I became curious. What else is out there? If food can make me feel this good, what else is out there? And that's when I discovered people like you, and water, even just water and hydration, how that can change the mood, depression in your body. So what can you add to that, Dr. Wahls?
Well, what you want to do is create curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to create attraction. People ask me, like, how do I convince, my dear friend, my cousin, my aunt, to try the Wahls Protocol? They have MS and they clearly aren't improving. I've sent them your book, but they aren't really interested. And so our response is, you have to create attraction. So become the change you want to see in others.
I love
Adopt
that.
the diet, the lifestyle change. Oh, that's beautiful. So adopt that, eat and live this way, and then invite people to ask, or invite them over, feed them a Wahls feast, show them like how delicious this can be.
It is.
And then when they're ready and people begin asking, like, oh my God, what happened? You look 5 years, you look 10 years younger. And you're just radiant with your glow, with your energy. And then you tell your story. And then as people get more and more curious, you will find that you are more skillful at just talking about your story, about your own personal transformation, about how easy it is to maintain this life, and people will come.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so back to the book. For those of you who would like a copy of this book, make sure that you let us know in the comments section, and your name will be added to the winner's basket, and 2 names will be selected tomorrow. So here's the deal. Here's the deal. If you tag a friend, share this video, we'll also add your name again. So the more you participate, the more you will be rewarded and a greater opportunity to win this book.
Yes.
Okay, so with this book, one of the things is the paleo. So I am whole food plant-based. And so when I hear paleo, and I eat very, very little meat, if I have any, it's a little bit of fish. Well, so how can, if somebody says, okay, I am plant-based, how can I adapt this to my lifestyle?
So I was very, very careful to make a variety of levels. So at level 1, it's certainly very possible to do this as a vegan, as a vegetarian. And I give very specific guidance for the vegetarian vegans, because I do recognize that people may choose to be vegetarian vegan for deeply held spiritual beliefs. And the potential downside is B12, iodine, inadequate protein, and some problems with fat ratios. So I talk to the vegans like, okay, here's how you address those issues so that it does not become a problem for you. Then the paleo eaters, I talk about, okay, here's the potential downside of paleo eating. And I see, frankly, now that paleo has become so popular, there are a lot of processed products that are targeting the paleo eaters that are still also not good for you because they've been designed to become addicting with some flavor enhancers. So I dial back the protein in the meat on the paleo eaters, and I up the vegetables. And again, I give them much more specific directions when we talk about organ meats, why to have organ meats, why to have more bone broth. And then we've added in the ketogenic eating with a lot more direction. I mentioned early on that for the ketogenic eaters, only for a very narrow specific populations do I want them in long-term ketosis the rest of their lives. I much prefer intermittent ketosis to improve that metabolic resilience. And then we've added in the Wahls elimination diet, which is much more specific to people with inflammatory bowel disease, rheumatic arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, autoimmune issues involving the joints. There's more likely to have molecular mimicry involving lectins. And so for those to take out the nightshades, and I have them cook their meals in a pressure cooker Instant Pot to reduce the problems with those lectins.
Wow. Okay. So was that different from the first book? Because you talked about this book has 30% more information than the original one. So what are some of the, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful I went back and revised this book, that you would say top 5?
Okay. So top 5, why ketosis is limited to a much more restrictive population, how to get the benefits of ketosis in an even more effective way with the various methods of fasting, restricted feeding, periodic fasting. We talk about stem cells. What are the indications for getting a stem cell transplant? How do you get those? What can we do to increase the number of stem cells that we have? Because as we age, as we mature, the number of stem cells we have steadily decline. But there are things that you and I can do to keep our stem cells up. And that means if we have more stem cells, I can repair my blood vessels. I can repair my brain. I can repair my lungs, my kidneys, my heart, my skin much more readily. We talk about the problem with cognitive decline, that we recognize as we age, we have cognitive decline. If you have a serious autoimmune condition, the cognitive decline is much more rapid. Brain volume loss is much more rapid. And these really potent drugs that we have for autoimmune conditions can turn off the inflammation, but they appear not to have an impact on brain volume loss and cognitive decline. And so what is very, very interesting, and I talk about in my book, are the fact that the neuroscientists are now saying you must also address diet and lifestyle to prevent cognitive decline. They still want you to take drugs, and there may be reasons to take drugs depending on your clinical course, but now my neuroscientist and my neurologist are all agreeing, and they're finally saying to the patients, you must address diet. You must get rid of the cigarettes. You must add a meditation. You must begin moving your body more.
And you must eliminate toxicity in our body. I mean, because, there's so many different ways. And I want to say thank you to my sponsors real quick, Dr. Wahls, because, without their generosity, there would be no classroom. The sponsors that you see here on my side, I'm having a hard time. Right there. So those are my sponsors. I want to encourage all of you to go to whenyounneedafriend.com, become a subscriber. While there, please like and follow me on social media, subscribe to my YouTube channel. This is where we take ownership for our life and stop believing the lies that we've been told, possibly not intentionally, but there are people who benefit and profit because we were taught incorrectly from day one. And so I would like for us to be curious instead of critical. So if this is resonating, or if this is making you angry, that to hear that you can shift and change your life by looking at all these markers in your life and becoming your own hero in your journey, then I am sorry that it might make you angry, but just be curious about it. Read up on it. And then if you decide you're not ready, like Dr. Wahls said, then just put it aside and pick it up when you're ready. And so I want to thank my sponsors because they have said, I want to take a stand with you. Sponsors like Liberty Health Share, Keep Me Safe Organics, which I want to talk about toxicity and the beauty of these products that are toxin-free, all organic. Nothing has been changed. The molecular structure is all natural. And so it's called Keep Me Safe Organics. And so we get 10% off. So when you click on my sponsors page, just know that you get percentage off for all these things. So for First Alternative Care, Dr. Stephen Grable, who's functional holistic alternative in Jacksonville, Florida. And we also have the pharmacy in Merritt Island that's changing the way we take our pills instead of through orally, maybe topically, which is less problems in your digestive system and your organs. Live Longer Medical, who's changing you from the inside, from the inside to out, making you feel radiant. And Ground Therapy, of course, that we've talked about, and Brain Tap, changing the program in your head. These are all different healing modalities that you can tap into at whenyounneedafriend.com. So please figure out ways to support my sponsors the way that they're supporting the classroom. And finally, you too can become an enrolled student. How? Click on the enroll student button and you can donate your time, your talent, your treasure to help us grow. How can you do your time? Just share, tag, tell people that there's this information is out there. How many of you didn't even know about Dr. Wahls? I remember the first time I heard about her, I reached out, and of course, so many people reach out to her, but I finally met her. I remember when you received that award, that lifetime award at the ACE. I'm trying to remember. IFM. There's so many different groups out there. IFM. I was crying with you. I had been longing to meet you, and here you were, and so generous. Then you've come back in the classroom to share your wisdom with us. So beyond grateful. Thank you so much, Dr. Wahls. I want people to understand that this is something that is accessible. It's doable. And like you said, if they think it's too much, then they're not ready for it.
Then you're not ready, and people come back. You know, and actually, we've now added another sort of a pre-Wahls diet. If people aren't ready, I just say, why don't you try and begin the Mediterranean diet? And so often people are like, well, I can do that. So I send them to our local dietitian, and they work on the Mediterranean diet. And then again, when they're ready, because they realize, wow, I am feeling better. And they then sort of graduate from the Mediterranean diet over to Wahls Level 1. And I also, again, want your tribe to know that I'd say about 80% of my folks on Wahls Level 1 get the results that they're looking for, that they need, and that's where they stay. And then people might go on to the Wahls Paleo or the ketogenic version or the Wahls elimination diet. So I can progress things if we aren't getting as good a results as we're wanting to achieve.
Absolutely. And so real quick, because I want people to know, our followers, our students in the classroom, to know what's new, what's going on. You know, you had mentioned that you're going to have a August seminar. Tell us about that in Iowa.
A couple of things. We now have started having in-person events because we've had so many people wanting to come see me. And I do have a small limited practice. My goal is to help millions and then billions of people transform their lives. We have a live in-person event every summer where, again, hundreds come from all over the globe. We have a beginner's track, and then we have an advanced track for the people who come back year after year. And people, once you come and you see this is your tribe, people do come back year after year. About a third of the folks will have MS. Another third will have other autoimmune conditions. And the other third have just other general health issues. We learn, we practice skills. This is a very experience-based event. We sing, not necessarily in tune. We dance, not necessarily on the beat. We have fabulous food. We've been working with the hotel. We have amazing Wahls compliant meals, breakfast, lunch, and supper. This year we're going to have a chef come teach us some tricks on how to comply with the Wahls program and to do it simply and easily. So that's going to be so much fun.
Yeah. How long is this retreat? It sounds like it's more than a seminar. It sounds like a retreat. So
well, yeah, basically it's 2.5 days. 2.5 days.
And in August, when in August, do you know?
Yes, and I believe it's the August 29th, July 29th in the evening, then all day the 30th and the 31st, and then on the 1st, we have the physicians and the health professionals certification day. So I have a program to train health practitioners how to use these concepts in their clinical practice. And so we have the public layperson day, couple days, and then we have the practitioner day as well.
Love it. I love it.
That's just fabulous.
And people can go to terrywahls.com to learn more.
/seminar to learn more about the seminar.
Okay.
And if you're a practitioner and you want to learn how to basically do Wahls Protocol, it's terrywahls.com/certification.
Okay.
And then the other thing that is so exciting is the research.
That's what I want to ask you next. So let's
Perfect.
talk about people who have MS or an autoimmune condition. Do you have a new study? Can you share a little bit about that?
So we have a brand new study, and what we're doing is we're comparing the newly diagnosed MS patient or clinically isolated syndromes, that's sort of the prodrome, who have not yet started drugs and who want to use diet and lifestyle. We're going to enroll them, get baseline measures of walking, thinking, vision, and MRIs, and we'll collect a bunch of blood and biomarkers. We will train them in the Wahls Protocol, and then we have group calls once a month, bring them back in 12 months, repeat all of the measures, including the MRIs. And we're going to compare them to a group of newly diagnosed patients who are receiving standard of care, getting the drugs, and getting whatever care their MS specialist is advising. And the big question is, because I don't know, does refusing drugs and doing diet and lifestyle, is that superior? Is it equivalent? Or is it better? We really do not know, because no one has been able to prospectively look at this group. It's a hugely, hugely important question, because it may be that refusing drugs, doing diet and lifestyle creates harm, or it may be that refusing drugs, doing diet and lifestyle creates no harm. In fact, you have superior outcomes. We do not know it, and that's why we do research. And also, that is why the research that I do is so critical, so life-changing, so paradigm-changing.
Absolutely.
So exciting. It's hard to sleep at night.
So
I have to meditate a lot, so I can get myself to fall asleep.
I want to talk to you about brain tap in a second. So, okay, so at the link, and I'm going to post the link under. And by the way, if you guys have any questions for Dr. Wahls, write a Q, a large capital Q, and write your question, and we'll read them to her. But the email to reach out to if you want to be a part of this incredible study, it's msdietstudy@healthcare.uiowa.edu. That's msdietstudy@healthcare.uiowa.edu. Robert, can you write that underneath the Facebook and the comment section? The book is called The Wahls Protocol, and it's a radical new way to treat all chronic autoimmune conditions using the paleo principles. But again, you don't have to be paleo if you want to be vegan. She has made all these adjustments just for all of us who want to be plant-based. So this is the beauty of looking back. I always say that you don't start hiking a mountain at the top. You start by ordering your hiking boots. That's where we start. And then you exercise, then you work out at the gym and incline the treadmill. And then when you get there, you take that first step, and the next one, and the next one. The next thing you know, you're looking down at all that you were able to accomplish. And so with that in mind, thinking about your hero's journey, Dr. Wahls, what comes back to you when you think of all the difference that you've made in the world?
In 2007, I could not sit up. I was beginning to have brain fog. I was profoundly fatigued. My chief of staff had told me that he was going to assign me to work in the traumatic brain injury clinic come January, so in 6 months. And so I knew that this was the university and the VA's way of telling me, Dr. Wahls, it's time to take medical retirement. You are too ill. And that was a very difficult time. I was depressed. There's a lot of grieving. But 2 weeks later, I reviewed this study that was about electrical stimulation in people who had spinal cord injury, which got me curious.
Mhm.
I started the e-stim. I worked with my physical therapist to add that to my workouts. I discovered then a few weeks later the Institute for Functional Medicine and their course on neuroprotection. I took that, had a few more supplements, and then I had this really brilliant aha, like what if I redesigned my diet in this very specific way? And then it was stunning. So by the time I went to this clinic, I had started this new way of eating and being, and I was getting stronger. And I was able to do that clinic. And in fact, my new perspective was profound for the folks with the traumatic brain injury, because I'm coming in saying, when my partners were saying, there's nothing more we can do for you, you'll get better or not, and then we'll give
Yeah.
you drugs to control your rage.
Mhm.
I'd walk in and say, like, oh my God, there is so much we can do. There is so much that you can do to speed your recovery. And people saw that the people I took care of had remarkably different results
Yes.
in the traumatic brain injury clinic, in primary care, which led to the VA asking me to create my own clinic, which we called the Therapeutic Lifestyle Clinic, again, with remarkable, remarkable results. And so the future I thought I was going to have in 2007 was bedridden, demented, intractable pain. And instead, the future I have is writing books, touring the world, teaching clinicians how to change their practice, and doing this groundbreaking research. So
Amazing, amazing.
it's,
Story well, a journey very well played. And it would be just not an interview with you if I didn't bring this little guy up.
oh yeah, yes.
He wants to give you a kiss.
Mwah.
So for those of you who don't know, Dr. Wahls has a poop collection. And so the last class that she was on, there's poop all over the place. And
Yes.
so let's talk about the importance of getting
Yeah.
rid of this.
So yeah, actually, I talk a lot about epigenetics in the book. I talk a lot about the microbiome in the research we have with the microbiome, and with how the microbes help us eat our food, digest our food, and convert the food that we eat metabolically using steps that we can no longer do because of genetics, mutations that happened in our ancestral mother thousands of generations ago, but her microbes could. So at that moment, the genes for that particular step got exported from our DNA to our microbes' DNA. And that's why we have only about 25,000 genes, when we thought, based on all the proteins that we have to make, that we would have had over 100,000 genes. So those missing genes are in the microbiome. It's another reason why I talk about it's so important to have a really diverse microbiome. And to do that, you need to have diversity in the foods you eat. And you can monitor this very simply by every time you have a bowel movement, you stand up, you look, is it a snake? Was it soft, easily passed? Or is it hard? Do you have rocks? Or is it too loose that you have pudding and tea? And I give directions as to what to do if your poop is not perfect. Because there are a lot of things that we control, because we're the ones who feed the microbiome.
Yeah.
So we either feed the healthy microbiome, or we feed the disease-causing microbiome.
You know, food can be a weapon of mass destruction, or it can be a tool to heal every cell in our body. And I am just so grateful to you. Again, I want to remind everybody that to win a copy of this book, we're giving 2 books away. All you need to do is say, I want the book, in the comments section. If you're watching or listening on a podcast or watching later on YouTube, I'm going to, you know what, I'm just going to wait till Monday to do this drawing, because I want people to have time. There's a lot of people out there that are in need of this information, that deserve this information. So if you know somebody, please, your name will be added to the winner's basket. And if you share this link and you like it and you tag somebody, the more you do, the more you will have a chance to win. Your name will be added. the more you do, the more your chance you win. This is an incredible book that has been revised. Oh, all the little tags that I have inside of it. There's a questionnaire in here that you can determine where you're at, right? It's towards
Yes.
yes.
It's incredibly helpful. And again, in the tens of thousands of people who follow me, people often fill out their questionnaire, tell us their score, and they fully implement the program, and they follow that score month by month, seeing those scores come down from over 100 to less than 20.
Wow.
It takes time,
Wow. It
but
does.
the beauty of the medical symptoms questionnaire is now you have a numeric score and you can see your progress.
Yes. That's
And you
because
can
people
get
forget.
feedback. Right.
Yes.
You forget how terrible you felt,
Mm-hmm.
how impaired you were, and you realize, like, oh my God, my score was 85 and now it's 15. Wow.
Mm-hmm. And you can be grateful in every step that you're taking. Now, I don't want to start another, but I wanted to ask you, there's a rise in Parkinson's now. Is
Yes.
that considered an autoimmune or is a neurological condition?
Well, it's a neurologic condition. And again, it's another one of those conditions where you have about 200 genes, increase your risk. It's very, very clear that environmental toxins are a big factor here. So are history of concussions. But there's also a very compelling evidence that it starts in your gut, that there may be certain infections that are very slow, very indolent, that create a problem that begins to ascend up the vagus nerve to the brain. So the first things that people observe is this constipation. And we've also have seen that when I implement people on the Wahls Protocol with Parkinson's, that we have reduction in the constipation, reduction in the muscle stiffness, improvement in the coordination, improvement in their mental clarity. So certainly, even if you have Parkinson's or cognitive decline, we want to focus on creating health. We want to focus on diet quality, reducing toxin exposure. I have the person look a lot for dance because there are more communities now where the dancing studio is creating classes for neurorehabilitation. That's a
Wow.
very exciting area of research.
That is
This
good.
This is we have one of the dancing studios here in Iowa City that does that, and this has just been a fabulous, fabulous thing for the community, both for the Parkinson's patients, for the patients with cognitive decline, and for my MS patients. This is incredible. So if you have any neurologic stuff, please check in your community to see if there is a neuro rehab class in any of these dancing studios. It will be one of the best decisions you make, irregardless of whether or not you follow my diet. I want you to go out and start that dancing.
That's right. That's right. That's why I tell everybody to dance. And it's a good thing because I am a dancer. God made me a dancer, and I am just going to continue to dance. And, so that's good that there's more benefits than just, that movement. And
Yes,
so,
yes.
But this is wonderful. Okay. So I want to again mention that there is a study that Dr. Terry Wahls is working on. It's if you've been newly diagnosed with MS, you can participate in this. Is there going to be a cost to this, Dr. Wahls?
Oh, well, sure, because you're going to have to travel to Iowa City.
Okay.
So absolutely. We aren't going to charge you for your visits. We won't be charging you for the consultations or the monthly group call. Okay. You'll get a tremendous amount of support with learning how to implement the diet, learning how to implement the meditation, and the exercise program.
I love it.
And because those things are part of the intervention, there's no charge for that. And if you were coming to see me in my private practice, that to have received that kind of intensive support is very, very costly.
Yes. And so the email, and we're going to put that email at the end in the comment section, is msdietstudy@healthcare.uiowa.edu. And so take advantage of this. Be curious, not critical. I know that we've been told a certain way, and it can make us angry that we've been lied to. But take it and just say, what can I learn from all of this? And follow in the footsteps of Dr. Terry Wahls, who's created such a beautiful blessing out of her darkness. It's called the Wahls Protocol, and go get it, or you can win it for free. Thank you, Dr. Wahls, for being a part of the classroom today. Many blessings to you and all that you're doing. Please remember, I'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott and Dr. Terry Wahls wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
Wonderful, wonderful. You are just an amazing, amazing woman. I would like for those of you who have any questions for Dr. Wahls, I don't know if you have any, because I'm not, sometimes my computer doesn't say, but if you have a question and I didn't see it, please ask it again. Dr. Wahls, anything that was not said today during the classroom that you would like to add right now before we say goodbye to our podcast, our
Please,
Facebook?
if I can come back from such desperate circumstances, there's every reason for you to be hopeful as well. Be all in, decide when you want to start, be all in. You're the principal investigator for the research that you'll do the rest of your life to improve your health and vitality.
Oh, love that. You know, I always quote the great philosopher Meatloaf, who sang, I would do anything for, and there's that love, right? People know that song. They know he would do anything for love. But then he pauses and he says, but I won't do that. And I always say that sometimes we add whatever it is, health, restore your life or marriage, restore relationships. I would do anything for a better job, but I won't do that. And so the question is, what are we willing to do? What are we willing to do? Go ahead, Dr. Wahls.
Have hope.
Have hope.
Have hope.
Have hope. And so it's the Wahls Protocol. I am looking forward to seeing who the winners are for this book. And please spread the word. It's wonderful. Go get it. Even if you have the old book, get the new book, because she's done even more research after 7 years of experiencing this. So thank you so much, Dr. Wahls. Well done, thy good and faithful servant. You have done a wonderful job. So we're going to say goodbye on Facebook. And if you just hold on, Dr. Wahls, I wanted to share some things with you. There you go. Bye.